With Akuma being released this past Wednesday and the balance patch along with it, I figured I'd draft up some ways Alex could play if he made it into Street Fighter 6, since, well, we'll probably be getting a trailer or announcement at EVO in the next 2 months. Now, considering Street Fighter 6 is one of the most volatile and aggressive Street Fighter games we have had to date with the drive system, we have to consider what kind of move properties Alex would have and how they would need to be changed from their past versions to be good in 6. In this video specifically, I'm going to go over 2 main sections and 1 short subsection. One will be going over the V system Alex had in 5. Then we're going to be going over all of his special moves, some going on Street Fighter 5 and some on Third Strike. And then we're going to finish off with how he would work with the drive system. Big thanks to DemonDan for providing the drive system concept graphic. He generally makes some sick Alex and general fighting game content and graphics like some of the art in the thumbnail to this video, so go check his stuff out. I'll link his socials in the description. To start off, what excites me the most about possibly coming back is his V system from 5, so let's talk about his V skills. Both his V skills worked like a type of stock. One gave you a hard hit property, which was pretty much a guaranteed counter hit on all his moves. His V skill 2, on the other hand, gave you some crazy shit. Let me tell ya, it let you chain special moves into each other, so you could do things like chop into stomp, elbow into EX chop, or my personal favorite, the headbutt to EX chop into some crazy V trigger stuff. But these types of stock mechanics can also be seen in Street Fighter 6. Some of them can be seen with Yuri, Lily, and Honda. The big one to take note of here is Big Boy Honda, because as far as I know, Street Fighter 5 was the first game that actually gave Honda a type of stock mechanic that made his hand slaps better, and guess what they decided to do again in 6? Oh, well, hot damn, that's right, the same V skill. And not only does it look cooler, as he's calling the Capcom gods themselves to help him slap harder, but he gets cooler looking conversions too. Oh, and this clearly inferior clap V skill that you barely saw in 5, oh, yeah, he got that back in 6 too. Honorable mentions that also came back are Guile's V skill and Blanca's V skill. These returns make me think that at least one of these mechanics are probably going to come back to 6. Now, we don't know which ones for sure, but I'm going to lean more towards his V-Skill 1 though, because there's no way in hell that they give us his crazy good second V-Skill again. And that's not to say that V-Skill 1 is bad, because it's not. I'm perfectly happy if they give us that V-Skill back, because it was actually really underrated in Street Fighter 5 ever since they released his V-Skill 2. And I still believe it was one of his best V-Skills, well, for my playstyle at least. Now, as much as I want to go over his V-triggers, let's be honest here, we know he's 100% getting his DDT back into his base kit. There's no way that they don't give it to him. The only moves that I probably see won't be making a return are going to be Choke and Sledgehammer, but that's to be expected. I mean, I don't think that they'll give Alex his Sledgehammer back. Surely not, right? I mean, what other characters in 6 got their V-triggers from 5 as their supers? I can't really think of anyone in particular, to be honest. I mean, well, why would they do that? They surely didn't also just make some of them better in this game compared to 5, right? Nah, no way. No way. I don't think Capcom would do something like that. You know, come to think of it, I can't even think of a particular character who incorporates their V skills and V triggers from 5 into their Street Fighter 6 kit. Oh. They did? Huh. Well, moving on to one of Alex's first moves that we're going to be talking about today is his Third Strike Stomps. They had cross-up properties, while Street Fighter 5's iteration didn't really allow that kind of thing to happen. Which was kind of weird, but I guess that's just the way he was designed. Another thing about Third Strike's version is that none of his stomps are steerable. And I mean none, not even his EX Stomp, which is nothing like Street Fighter 5's version that I'm used to. I mean, in 5, Stomp was generally one of my favorite tools to use in block strings and frame traps. Back in seasons 1 through 4, they also recovered fast enough to command grab people until they, well, nerfed that in the final season. But just to show you how different the Stomps actually were, take a look at Street Fighter 5's version. Here, I can hold left or hold right, and Stomp will generally go where I want it to go. And in Third Strike, that wasn't really an option. This kind of steerability was one of the really good things that he had in 5, considering that you could use it to bait DPs. I even highlighted it in one of my EXEs where I baited a Guile's DP twice. So not only was it really good, but it was really good for meme clips too. With that being said, I don't know if a move like Stomp will be that great in 6, to be quite honest. I mean, in Street Fighter 5, it worked really well because a lot of characters didn't really have an option against it. They could neutral jump, but then you could just EX knee. So it wasn't really good for the defender to jump. They would just have to literally just block and take it. That changes completely in 6 though. I mean, if you look at a character like Honda, he was one of the lowest in the tier list for Season 1, and the main reasons being is that some of his main tools like Butt Slam and Headbutt are highly parryable if they're fighting a strong player. Marissa is also a pretty good example when it comes to her moves being parried consistently by good players. Well, with how telegraphed her Superman, Charged, and Gladius punches are. Honestly, I think it's really going to come down to if they make Headbutt good to pair along with Alex's Stomps, or if they make Stomps have a good and fast recovery like they were in 5, so you could bait parries to then go for those huge punish counter command throws. And another thing I'd like just because of parry is to give him those cross-up Stomps back. I'd love to meme people in Master Rank by just throwing them out. But yeah, I'm not sure what they'll do. But I do know it's one of his staple moves, so there's no way that he doesn't get it in 6. Moving on, we have his Headbutt. Third Strike's version was, yeah, it was kind of weird. It wasn't really a special move, but more of a unique action with back heavy punch. And his Super R3 was the only one that was a legitimate, like, jump headbutt. And you know what? You could actually steer this one. Like, I don't know why, but, yeah, I guess this is where Street Fighter V's version kind of came in. Because in 5, it was actually a dedicated special move, and it was one of my favorite special moves to use because it had a lot of nice uses. It had a lot of stun, and you could use setups that go into it. Another really good use of it was using it in block strings and frame traps, so I did a lot of stuff with light strings that either went into Stomp or they went into Headbutt to mix up my offense. And usually it caught a lot of people lacking or pressing buttons, so it was absolutely funny to see, especially if you're playing right next to someone. Let me tell you, there's nothing better than seeing someone almost jump out of their chair when you use a special move and you're spinning right at them. It's a joy, a true joy to see. With that being said though, in 6, I don't think they need to make a whole lot of changes to how it works from Street Fighter V. The move is a perfectly good example of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So Capcom, if you're gonna change anything, at least make that shit as fast or faster than Birdie's Dolphin Dive. I need everything to get that million. The next move we have is his Power Bomb Command Throw. This move was actually pretty good in Third Strike compared to 5, and gave you different frame advantage depending on the one you used. Now, I can't tell you the exact frame advantage in Third Strike, but as I was testing, it looks like his light command throw actually lets you get a dash up into another command throw. Don't quote me on that though, I don't play the game, I'm just judging it by looks. But the only things that I do see that 5 does better than Third Strike is the damage output and the range, because, yeah, the frame advantage wasn't that good in 5 if you landed the command throw. Well, until you took him to the corner. Then it makes it a completely different game. That being said, I don't know which direction they'll take with the command throw in Street Fighter 6. I'm thinking they might make his power bomb work like Lily's, where it does huge damage if you land it, but you get absolutely no pressure afterwards. But if they add one of his V skills to the game, then it could actually be pretty cracked. Now, let's get into one of my favorite special moves, Alex's Flash Chop. Now, just for funsies, I was playing around with the move in Third Strike, and I've gotta say, this shit sucks in this game. The range is horrible to play neutral with, heavy doesn't guarantee a backdrop, and I just realized after doing and playing around with it some more, that I didn't mention he doesn't even have an EX powerbomb move. But let's move on before I get on a rant. Flash Chop in Street Fighter V was a ton of fun to use. It was so good to use in neutral game. You could use it as a really good chipping tool, and heavy version also let you go into regular or EX backdrop if it hit, and gave you a lot more leniency on backdrop compared to Third Strike. EX backdrop also gave you a free and juicy, I mean juicy 50-50 afterwards. They also made it possible to go into backdrop on block because, I mean, screw it. Why not, right? Thank you, Capcom. Now, what I think they're going to do is they're probably going to keep this move the same for 6. There's not much they can really do, unless if they want to go the Third Strike route and completely butcher what we had in 5. So, Capcom, if you watch this, if some of your dev team watches this from Japan or any other region, please don't make it like there was in Third Strike. That shit sucked. Keep it like it is in Street Fighter V, please. Next up, we got Slash Elbow. This move, like most of his other moves in 5, got buffed quite a bit compared to Third Strike, and like Flash Chop, was also a really great tool to use in neutral and to do chip damage with. landing hits was a lot more rewarding than it was in Third Strike. So medium elbow, for example, gave you a double dash mix-up, and heavy gave you the same thing, or if in the corner, gave you a super great damage conversion. It was probably one of the most satisfying combos to hit in 5, if I'm being honest. And Third Strike, oh, well, I mean, at least you got some damage off of it. Elbow is just another one of those moves that isn't gonna get touched, though. I can't see why they would purposely make this move bad in 6. Don't make it like how it was in Third Strike. Most of the stuff that was in Third Strike, just stick to the Street Fighter V versions, please. Speaking of bad, though, let's talk about the final and worst special move Alex had in Street Fighter V. Oh yeah, baby. You already know what I'm going into. Alex's air knee. Now, before some of you that actually played Alex take out your pitchforks, hold on, let me cook. Air knee was one of Alex's worst special moves in Street Fighter V for about, the entirety of the game being out until the final patch came. And I say this because the move still wasn't frame 1 invulnerable to jumping attacks until the last patch. So Chun jumping at me like this with her busted ass fucking freakishly long mutinous leg, she could jump at me like this before the most recent patch and would beat my EX knee. So here, I'm doing heavy knee and it's getting beat out. That's how EX knee used to be before the patch. It also wasn't really usable until Season 3, since that's when they actually made it so you got pressure after landing the EX version. So Season 1, Season 2, yeah, no pressure afterwards. It didn't matter if you actually landed a Grace of God anti-air, because you got absolutely no pressure afterwards. After that, though, oh, baby, we were eating with that buff. We got plus frames for days. We got mix-ups. We got it all. We don't talk about you, though. No, we don't talk about you. The only thing that I'm hoping for is that they don't reintroduce the move to 6 in the sorry state that it was when they released Alex in Season 1 through the end of Season 4. That would probably be the best case scenario. Now to move on to the final section of this little video, and the most interesting, I would say, is how would Alex work with the drive system? Well, the first thing I was thinking of was the ability to drive rush and then regular or EX headbutt. Now I want you to imagine how scary that would be with a character like Alex with his kind of command throw archetype. Can you imagine just how scary that would be? He would either draw drive rush or stand medium punch into drive rush and then making you guess if he's gonna do a headbutt, a stomp, command throw, or a button. But let's be honest, we're probably only gonna go for lariat and only lariat if they make it as good as it was in 5. And honestly, that sounds so strong that it makes me think that Capcom probably just won't be going through with it. They might make it not possible to just go into some things from drive rush, or they might go the Manon route and make your drive rush the most terrible thing in the game, or severely limit the amount of cancelable drive rush buttons you're gonna have. I mean, the more that I think about it, the more that I think the amount of drive gauge chip that chop and elbow would do would be just absolutely insane when done right after another. And considering how Headbutt is known to do a lot of stun, I'm going to assume that in 6, it's probably going to do maybe 1, 1.5, or 2 bars of drive gauge damage, which makes me think that Alex's mix is actually going to be pretty damn scary in this game. But I'm just throwing a bunch of hypotheticals. For all I know, they could just make Headbutt a non-special move like, you know, it was in Third Strike, and maybe only make it usable like in Third Strike as well from one of his supers. But I don't know. I hope that he really makes it in this game so we can see what ends up happening. I mean, like I said, drive rush, lariat, and command throws sound degenerate, and that's what I'm here for, baby. Everything in Alex's kit would work extremely well with the game, and I'm excited for what Capcom will do with him if we get confirmation that he's in Season 2. But yeah, that's really about it for this video. I didn't really go into depth for his normals, since we already know they're pretty much gonna stay the same. Like, you know, making lariat the best button in the game again. And for Season 2, that title currently goes to Ryu's forward heavy punch, because why the hell did Capcom buff this? I mean, is this how everyone felt when they just kept buffing Alex's lariat in Street Fighter V? Are they just gonna keep buffing forward heavy punch? I don't know. But what I do know is that I want to read what all of you have to say with your opinions on Alex coming back to Street Fighter 6. Do you agree with my thoughts on the special moves, or maybe you're hoping Capcom finally gives Alex the forbidden buff we all desperately needed? But I guess we'll find that out maybe Summer Games Fest, but I doubt it. I'm assuming the date that we're probably going to get Season 2 news is going to be at EVO in July, so watch out for that date. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.